Okay. Can everyone hear me? Making sure I'm on okay. Just making sure I'm not muted. Well, welcome everybody to our last live Wellness Wednesday session, which is pretty strange, I think. But I'm excited for the future setup that we're going to have in starting in September. So, yeah, but we can go ahead and get started with today's session. So, having a little bit of a technology snafu right now, so bear with me. And our internet has been really weird recently where it'll drop out just kind of randomly. So if I disappear for a few minutes, don't fear. I will come back on, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Um, so I think that most everyone here has been to Wellness Wednesdays before, but just in case you haven't, my name is Christy Nielsen, and I work for Healthy Campus. So yeah, I'm excited to get started. So today we're going to talk about cultivating peace, and I wanted to just kind of run through what we've gone over in the past few months. I was thinking about we started Wellness Wednesdays on April 8th, I believe. So we've been doing this for a few months now. And I think we've had a lot of great sessions, a lot of them very, mental health focused. But we've talked about, grief and loneliness, talked about cognitive reframing, stress management, self care. So I think all of these are really great topics. But I think due to the nature of the program, we want to keep it short and sweet because we don't want to keep people on Zoom for, hours at a time. We have to do that and, for all the other days that we're working. But, I think given the kind of the setup of this program is that we kind of touch on these things. We touch on, what loneliness is or what that looks like. We touch on anxiety, but we don't actually dive deep into what practically it looks like to try to, manage those things in a healthy way. And so, we've talked about these things and we've mentioned tactics like mindfulness or journaling, challenging our thoughts, but we haven't really practiced these as a group. We haven't really dug deep into them. So today we want to become very practical, and I'm just going to walk us through some of the things that we can use, hopefully on a daily basis to help manage some of the stress that we're feeling. Um, and so I know there's a lot on this slide, but we'll get to it in a second. But we've all have gone through hard times, and we will continue to go through hard times. It's a part of living. And when things aren't terrible, we still have seemingly minor things that happen in our lives that can kind of create some anxiety or some stress. The internet keeps going out, or your dog messes up something that you've been working on, or a sibling lets you down, or you run over a tire or you have a flat tire because you run over a nail, and then you have to wait outside of auto parts for it to open to get it fixed. And so all of these things might seem very specific. It's because they've happened to me in the last couple of weeks. But we know that life kind of throws us these hurdles, whether kind of probably more often it's going to be those seemingly small things, but then there are times when things are actually pretty, things in our lives are going on that are pretty difficult on a bigger basis. And it's at those times, especially when cultivating peace is very important, when we're able to kind of slow down and try to take a few deep breaths and to really kind of evaluate our situation. And I think kind of what sparked this topic specifically for me right now is just the news that, with what's going on at our university, with having to delay on campus classes and everything until September. I think like everybody has a different, thought process around COVID. I think people have, different reactions to this news as well. But I think it's safe to say is that all of us want it to go back to normal, right? All of us want life to just be normal. We kind of wish this virus never happened and we could just, start classes and enjoy football and, whatever else it is. We just want things to be back to normal. We don't have to worry about wearing a mask when we go out and things like that. We just want life to be back to the way it was. And so I think that that's kind of what sparked this idea of wanting to just really, no matter what's going on in our lives, because we know we can't control our situation. We talked about that a couple months ago now with the resilience talk when our guest speaker was mentioning how we can't control life circumstances. We can only control how we react to it. And so again, today I really want to focus on practicality. How can we practically, cultivate peace in our lives? and we can expect other hurdles to come our way. So what do we do when the inevitable happens? So I want to take a few minutes and actually read a segment from a book that I was exposed to during the time that I was taking that resiliency training, when, we took a break from Wellness Wednesdays for a few weeks so I could participate in that training. And one of the books that, or the main book that we used, is called Just One Thing by a professor named by a researcher named Dr. Rick Hansen. And so this book it's really cool. It's all about basically just very helpful, practical daily ways we can rewire our brains, so we can manage stress better and we can lift our mood and just improve our general sense of well-being. So again, they're kind of, I guess, bigger concepts, but he really breaks it down into what does this look like in our life. So I just want to read, just a few minutes, but I want to read these, it has a very short chapter. It'll only take, probably about 2 or 3 minutes, but I wanted to read this to you. It's called Feel Safer. So consider these 2 mistakes. Number 1, you think there's a tiger in the bushes, but actually there isn't one. Number 2, you think there's no tiger in the bushes, but actually one is about to pounce. Most of us make the first mistake much more often than the second one for several reasons. Number 1, evolution has given us an anxious brain. In order to survive and pass on genes, it's better to make the first mistake 1,000 times rather than the second mistake even once. The cost of the first mistake is fear for no reason, but the cost of the second mistake could be death. Number 2, the general tendency in the human brain is exacerbated by temperament. Some people are naturally more anxious than others, and by life experiences, such as growing up in a dangerous neighborhood or experiencing trauma. Number 3, saturated with media news about murders, disasters, economic turmoil, and horrible things happening to other people sifts into your mind, even though your own local situation is probably much less dangerous. And number 4, in ways that have been repeated throughout history, political groups try to gain or hold on to power by exaggerating apparent threats. So in effect, most of us have a kind of paper tiger paranoia. And I think that the piece about the news, being kind of bombarded at us with all these things that are going on, I think that's especially pertinent during this time of COVID, where, especially if you watch the news a lot, it's kind of like these, consistent cycles over and over again, talking about how many people have it, how many people have passed away because of it. And so I think that can be, very wearing on our psyche. And so he goes on to talk about how, it's very important to acknowledge the real tigers that are in our, in our lives, the real dangers. But I think more often than not, our brain thinks that there are things, and this is me talking, not him, but there are things that are going on, or that we think are going on, and we think that there's a danger around us when there actually isn't. And we tend to exaggerate or think that things are going to happen when they don't. And so that creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of turmoil in us that we don't, need to be experiencing. And so his whole thing is, how do we actually help ourselves cultivate a sense of safety, especially when there's not an immediate danger around us. There's not a tiger ready to pounce. Yes, there's if we think about, I don't know, for example, just in the future, if we're ever worried about, because of the economy, like, what if I don't have a job anymore or something like that? That is a reality that could happen, but that we're not in that present moment. So because we're not in that present moment, how do we cultivate a sense of safety right now where we are, in this day? Because this is the day that we're living. We're not there in the future yet. And so he talks about some people get understandably nervous about feeling safer because once you lower your guard, you're more privy to, you're more vulnerable essentially. But that, we can't always be in that fear mindset of like, I can't ever let myself feel safe because what if I get hurt, and then he goes through very practical ways that we can help ourselves cultivate a sense of safety. And that's what it's on the screen right now. But these are just ways that we can help ourselves to start to feel safer, especially when there's no immediate danger around us. So he talks about bringing to mind the sense of being with someone who cares about you. So what is that general feeling of warmth, of security, of comfort you have when you're surrounded by, a loved one or your family or a friend? Number 2 is recall a time that you felt strong, really trying to, harken back those feelings. Recognize that you are in a protected setting, kind of the idea that we're not in the future where all those what ifs could happen or they might not happen, but what's going on for us right here in this present moment. And then number 4, mentally list some of the resources inside and around you that you could draw on to deal with what life throws at you. So this is different for everybody, but what are those strengths that are outside of you? Like maybe you, have faith, or, it's your social network or whatever it is that you can call upon. or something inside of you as well. What's that internal resilience that you may have built up over the years because of, what life has thrown at you? He talks about the power of breath, which we'll talk about later, but just really being able to take deep, long breaths, because that can reverse some of the fight or flight reactions that our body has to stress. And we've talked about that in previous episodes. All the while, help keeping yourself feel more safe and sheltered and less vigilant, tense, or feel fearful. And then becoming more aware of what it's like to feel safer and let those good feelings sink in. So really just kind of being aware of where's your mind going when you're just kind of throughout the day. Are you focusing on, all the things that could go wrong in the future? Are you, regretting things that have happened in the past? Because that's a lot of where our fear and our anxiety comes from, is when we're not just actually engaged in the present moment. So we're going to go through a mindfulness exercise in a little bit, but that'll help us really kind of focus on what's going on right now, because that's the only part of this life that I'm experiencing is the present moment. So, trying to really make the most of that. And so really the purpose of kind of going through some of that chapter, I didn't read all of it, but is to realize that we're naturally wired to be more apprehensive and worried than we need to be. So some of that is due to our biology, like we talked about with the, is there a tiger, is there not, because the repercussions of us thinking there's not a tiger in the bushes and there actually is, are, that could potentially be deadly. So our brains are hardwired to think there's danger even when there's not. But then some of it's also due to our society, especially right now during COVID, when we're, constantly being bombarded by all of this negative news. But in either case, we're still feeling unsafe. And so he's trying to give us practical ways that we can try to cultivate that safety, especially when there's no immediate danger around us. So I thought that those were just kind of some helpful practical tips that he gave. But I also want to mention meditation. So, this is just some things. Obviously, there's a lot of other ways that we can help cultivate peace in our lives, but I really wanted to pull out some of his thoughts, and then also I want to talk about meditation. And so depending on your background, you may have varying reactions to meditation or even that word. Some of you may, think this is awesome. You do it every day. You try to practice it more. While other people, might be more skeptical and kind of like, I don't really, or that's not for me, or, that kind of thing. But regardless of where you are today, I hope that you'll just be open to the benefits that meditation has. And this is meditation in the kind of the broad term. It's not, we're going to talk about a specific form of meditation in a second, but this is just kind of meditation in general. And I'm sorry I didn't put the references on the slide. I can give you those. But these research has found that, for meditation, again, broadly speaking, can produce some of these positive benefits in our lives. So you can see that there is a mixture of, mental benefits, like it increases your compassion, your clarity, your ability to focus, especially I think, for me personally, working at home, it's been really hard to focus. I'm kind of like so distracted by what is my dog doing? What is my husband doing? What is, what's going on outside? Internet's crashing, all these kind of things are, disrupting my ability to do work, and, or I'm letting them disrupt it more so. And I think that, meditation can help with that focus and with that attention. It can help create, a feeling of calmness, which is kind of the whole, what we're talking about today. It can also relieve some of the symptoms of depression and anxiety. So if those are things that you struggle with or that a friend struggles with, that you could share. It also has been known to improve life satisfaction as well. And so I don't know if this statistic specifically is what I'm about to reference to, but I'll tell you kind of just a small anecdote. I was going through some of the mindfulness practice that we'll go through in a second. I was going through some of it yesterday, just in preparation for today. And I was through the practice, the man says something like, well, just like listen to, the sounds that are going on in your life. Like, what's going on in your circumstances right now? Like, what sounds do you hear? Is it birds? Is it like, a lawnmower? Like what's going on? And I kind of, I was hearing, the loudest sound that I heard was a refrigerator humming, and like a refrigerator in our kitchen. And I was like, oh, it's kind of annoying because I like can hear it, and I want to focus on this meditation. I don't want to like, have to like be bothered by that. And then the next second after that, he says something like, don't get, worried if you hear things, that's part of, practicing mindfulness in the real world. Like we don't have a perfect, we don't have perfect surroundings. Like there are things that are going to happen that we can't control. So it's okay if you hear sounds and that they're distracting you. Like that's just a part of being a human in the world that we're in. And, I got to, I started to think too with that, is that I'm annoyed that this refrigerator is humming, which I know this is a very small annoyance, especially compared to a lot of other things in life. But in that moment, I was annoyed at that. But I started thinking like, well, at least, I have a refrigerator. Like a lot of people in our life or in the world don't have refrigerators. Like, I have a refrigerator full of food, and the refrigerator is working. It's not broken. And, all these kind of things that I started to notice, like, hey, instead of trying to automatically, focus on the negative of my situation, what are some of the positive things that are coming out of what's going on right now? Again, a very small example, and that, with this statistic with life satisfaction, I don't know if that's exactly what that's talking about, but that was a benefit for me where I was like, well, it kind of helped me realize things I could be grateful for. And that's obviously, again, a small example, but that's just something that I, wanted to share. Meditation can help with mental resilience. It can help you, just to get through when life, knocks you down. Stress management, can help with, lowering aggression and irritability, and it can enhance positive emotions. So there's a lot of great benefits to meditation, and I think that this can be a really helpful way that we can start to cultivate peace in our lives as well. So what I want to focus on today is an app called Headspace. I don't know if anyone's heard of this app, but it's a meditation app, but it specifically focuses on mindfulness. So I just want to preface that I don't have any kind of connections with Headspace, financial or otherwise. So this is just more like I want to share this because I think it's a cool product, but I don't have any kind of connections personally to it. But I've used Headspace before. I need to use it more, but I think it's a really cool app, and I wanted to share some of the features of it. So there's, like I said, it focuses specifically on mindfulness, which is a type of meditation that we've talked about before, but we can talk about it more in a second. And there's a lot of meditation apps out there. I think on their website, they were saying how there's like, over 2,000 meditation apps. So it's kind of overwhelming. But the really cool thing about Headspace is that this company conducts, clinically validated research on their app to make sure that it's effective for people. They don't want to just put something out there in order to make money, but they want to actually help people, and they want it to work. And there's a lot of different studies on Headspace that you can find on their website. And we're actually going to go on the website in a second because I want to walk us through one of their practices. And it capitalizes, again, on a form of meditation called mindfulness. We've talked about this before, but in case you can't recall, mindfulness is essentially, it's the ability to be present, to rest in the here and now, fully engage with whatever we're doing in the moment. And so there are a lot of benefits to mindfulness specifically through Headspace, and those are also listed on the website, so I won't go through all of them. And the benefits of mindfulness, a lot of them cross over with the benefits of meditation, what we just talked about a second ago. So mindfulness just being a type of meditation, but some of the benefits are similar. And the website is pretty cool, so I just wanted to kind of walk us through it. Let's see if I can navigate this. One second. Stop sharing that. And then I'll just share my screen. I think this should work. Okay, well, let me know if you guys can't see this. So I'm just going to do this like, what we would do, just logging on. So we're just going to go to headspace.com. I've already been to it before, so it has it filled in. So this is the website itself. And let's see if I can make things a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is the website. So it has, this is just kind of the opening page. And then if you were interested in more of the science behind mindfulness, through an online app, then you can look up here. They have their approach, where they talk about kind of why they do what they do. We're not going to read through all of that just for the sake of time. They talk about the different benefits that mindfulness can have, and they're really doing a lot of research because we already know that there are benefits to mindfulness, but what they're looking at is the benefits that mindfulness can have through an online application. So it's a little bit more nuanced in that way. So they're doing research on that. And then they have, research where they talk about on here. So I would encourage you to check that out, especially if you're just kind of wanting some more information about, what they have to say. And then let's see, I can't see it super well on my screen. Okay. So if you were to go on here and you want to check out the actual meditation, that they have, what you would do is, well, it already logged me on, but if you don't have an account, you just create an account, which is, it's free to create an account, and then you just log on, and then your home page would actually look different. It wouldn't have this on here because this is a package that I'm already enrolled in, but it would probably just, it probably would actually lead you to this page. But if in case it doesn't, once you've created an account, you can just go up to the Discover tab, and it shows you all the different meditation or mindfulness sessions that they have. So you'll notice that with the foundation piece, this is where we're going to go in a second, but the basics package right here is free, so you can go through all those sessions. Each of the other packages, I believe, except for this one has 365, but most of them all have about 10 sessions each, and you can try a session for free in each of those, and then after that you would subscribe and access that. So unfortunately they don't have more free, which is kind of a bummer, but if you liked it enough, then you could subscribe and get that. But I just wanted to show you, they have a lot of cool different types of mindfulness for different issues. So a lot of health issues. They've done research on, for example, the effects that mindfulness has on people who are in a clinical setting. So like if they were, suffering from cancer or something like that, they've shown the benefits of mindfulness they can have for people who have cancer. And then you could just kind of see, they talk about, mindfulness if you're trying to transform your anger, if you're feeling restless or lonely. They have ones for how to improve self-esteem and acceptance and patience. And they have one specifically when you're at work and how to, increase your productivity for students. They have, I'm not sure what the Headspace Pro is actually, but they have one for that. They also have one for people who play sports. So anyways, I just thought it was cool because they have a lot of different, packages that you can explore, but the basics package is free. So that's the one I want to go over today. And we're going to run through just a brief mindfulness one. And I want to make sure you guys can hear this. Hold on, let me see. Let me share. Okay, make sure I can. Okay, this should help. Okay, if you guys are still with me. All right. If you can't see or hear anything, just type it in the chat because I don't know if you can unmute yourselves. So we're going to go through this mindfulness. It's only going to take about 5 minutes, but I would encourage you, if you want, you can just turn off your monitor if you want to or whatever, and then just kind of go through this practice session. And if you can't hear it, put it in the chat so that I can fix it if you can't hear it. Okay.
Hi. Over the next 10 sessions, I'm going to show you a really simple way of getting some more headspace in your life. And don't worry if you've never done anything like this before. This is a really straightforward technique, and I'm going to talk you through every step of the way. All you need to do is to sit back, relax, and allow the body and mind to unwind. So just take a moment to get comfortable. Doesn't matter whether you're sitting on a chair, on the floor, whatever feels best. But I'd like you to begin with your eyes open. Not staring too intently, just aware of the space around you. And just maintaining that soft focus with the eyes. Just starting with a couple of big deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you breathe in, just feeling the lungs expand as they fill with air. And as you breathe out, just noticing how the muscles soften as the body exhales. Just one more time. And as you breathe out this time, just gently closing the eyes and allowing the breath to return to its natural rhythm, in and out through the nose. So just take a moment just to feel the weight of the body pressing down against the seat beneath you. The feet on the floor, the hands, the arms just resting on the legs. Starting to notice the space around you, any sounds. Just allowing those sounds to come and go. And then just bringing the attention back to the body. Just noticing how the body feels right now. And just to help with this, starting at the top of the head, just gently scanning down through the body. Noticing what feels comfortable, what feels uncomfortable. Smooth, even, steady, from head to toe. And as you scan down, just starting to notice the movement of breath in the body. How the breath creates a rising and falling sensation. For some people that's in the stomach, for others the chest, sometimes the diaphragm. If you can't feel anything, just gently placing your hand on the stomach. But just noticing that movement. Don't worry if your mind wanders off, that's perfectly normal. As soon as you realize it's wandered, just gently bring the attention back to the breath again. Starting to notice whether the breaths are long or short, deep or shallow. And then just for a few seconds, letting go of that focus on the breath and just allowing the mind to do whatever it wants to do. So if it's been wanting to think, just let it think now. And then bringing the attention back to the body again. Just coming back to that feeling of weight pressing down. Perhaps noticing the sounds around you again. And you can just open your eyes in your own time. And ask yourself how that feels, having taken a few minutes out of the day. So whether there's a greater sense of calm, perhaps clarity. Don't worry if there's still lots of thoughts running around. That's very normal at this stage, and the mind can change a lot from day to day. But before you jump up right now, just take a few moments to sit back and appreciate how good it feels to get a little more headspace. And I'll look forward to seeing.
All right, so that was that was an example of one of the mindfulness meditations in the basics package. But I didn't show you this feature, but you can actually do a 3-minute version, a 5-minute version, or even a 10-minute version if you wanted to. So what we did just now was 5 minutes, which it's funny, just even doing it, not having done it for a while. When I did it again yesterday, it just like, I was like, this is long, 5 minutes, so it can kind of feel long. But hopefully that was relaxing to you, and that, it does help to begin cultivating some peace during that time. So well, I'm glad that you all enjoyed it. So again, have no kind of ties to Headspace other than, I just like the app and think it's helpful. So um, that's kind of all I had to share today. So again, this is our last live session. And then we'll take a break in the month of August. And then starting in September, I'll upload a couple episodes each month to the website and let you all know through email when those are uploaded. So yeah, I don't want to hold you over, but if anyone had any, final comments or questions, I'd love to just take a second to talk about that. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I've really enjoyed just our time together this summer. It's been very special to me, and I hope it's been beneficial to you as well. But I will see you all back in September, I guess. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.